Okay, so this segment is Talk the Things. And the things we're talking today is regarding this particular person. He's a famous inventor. His name is Frederick McKinley Jones. And interestingly, he had several ideas, and his ideas literally reshaped the way we live now. So throughout Black History Month, we've got lots of people that's been promoted, and they invented this, that, and the third. In fact, somebody Plush sent me a list of 53 different inventors. And rather than just look at the name of the person, I thought, you know what? Let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's do a bit more research into who these people were. What did they do? What was their life like? How did they come about? And let's put a bit of meat, as it were, on the bones. So we decided to dig down deep and research this person, Frederick McKinley Jones. So first off, just so you know, I'll get to the point, and then Spice will fill us in on a bit of the details. This chap revolutionized. So now we have Iceland, we have Tesco, we have Sainsbury's, we have all these places, and they have a whole refrigeration section. In fact, you go in that area, it's so cold. I mean, good Lord, I was in there today. Nonetheless, he enabled food to be transported from point A to point B without getting spoiled. And that's the invention that he's most acclaimed for, but there were many others. So regarding this chap, by the way, he had a company as well in the 1930s. At that time, his company amassed in the region of $149 million US. So that would put him into, by comparative to the days that we're living in now, that would make him a billionaire, right? And so remember, a black man couldn't vote in America in the 1930s, and not until 1968. So here was this man, billionaire status, he couldn't even vote. So how did he come to be the man that we're learning he was? So Spice, could you help us with that? What was his, what do we know of his childhood? How did he, what do we know about his history?
So he had a white father and a black mother. Okay. His mum abandoned him, and he was raised by his father, but the father couldn't raise him, so he was he was given, I shouldn't even say given, but a priest raised him in a rectory. Right. Okay, so his mum died at age of 9, and he was raised by the priest until he was 17, because the father couldn't look after him.
Right. You know what? That's quite interesting, because I didn't know that. So he's had a white mother and a black father, so he was mixed race. And it makes you wonder, given the climate of that time, could that have been why his mom abandoned him? Because of racism was kind of more right?
Could it be the fact that or why the father wouldn't raise him, because it would have been a white man raising a black child?
Well, there you have
that
it. So
sounds more to the
of the time. So he became an orphan as a result. And it was quite interesting that he didn't even go through school, did he?
No, he didn't. So he made a living cleaning at the age of 14, and then worked in an auto repair shop.
Right.
So he never went to school, but he self-taught himself into mechanics, engineering, and by watching others, basically. And then he did a whole lot of reading as well. So that's how he taught himself the engineering skills. I found that to be
amazing. That this limited resources back then, because to go to, it's not like us, we got the internet, but back then to go to a library and all those things as a black man, right? There would have been challenges, because remember, in America there was segregation, right? Blacks, no blacks, colors, and all the rest of it, and blacks and whites couldn't mix. So that would have been a challenge. But here he was, so he must have worked really hard to get an education, and he did that off his own volition, which, again, it just shows the motivation from within. And as a result, where did his education, his self-education, where did that get him, Spice?
So basically, a gentleman by the name of Numero, who was a head of ultraphone sound systems, hired him as an electrical engineer. Okay, so first of all, he learned to convert silent movie projectors into talking movie projectors by using scrap metal. So he's quite inventive, really.
That's amazing. Think about that. And the thing about it is, so movies were silent back in the days, and he put the sound to the movie. I mean, oh, good Lord. That was revolutionary in the day, wasn't it? It's like going from black and white to color. It was revolution. And he did it from scrap metal. And it's so amazing that we have all of these devices on our phone in this day and age, good Lord. And here was the man that sort of pioneered the combination of we take it for granted, don't we? Good Lord. And here's a man, he pioneered that, didn't he? Sound.
Yeah, and also and also in 1939 he also invented the auto ticket dispenser that we used at the movies as well.
So that we can pay for 49. So it's still in use today. I mean, it's quite amazing. Funny enough, in the last 50 years, more inventions have been made by mankind than in the whole history of humankind itself. So how did he meet his eventual business partner? Because you said Numero.
So basically, Numero. Yeah, so Numero is the one that employed him, and then when he saw his talents, he took him on as a partner.
Oh, right. Do you know what's interesting about that? Because back in the day, so Numero, I assume, was a white guy, right?
Yeah.
So back in the day, and what we're going to learn as we go through this series, looking at the various inventors, is typically the black man made the invention and the white man got the credit for it. Because of race at the time, the black man would always end up be working for the white man. Like even the best cooks, they was in the kitchen cooking up these wonderful meals. And at the front, they'd have white people serving the meals to the guests. And that was a common thing. I remember Charles Barkley, basketball player, was saying that when he goes, because he's got money, when he'd go to these establishments of he said the only time he see black people was when he looked in the kitchen. so that would be a time where Numero would get all the credit for the work that Jones was doing. So Jones finally meets Numero. He helps Numero, who had a cinematic thing. So he helps put sound to the pictures. And what happened thereafter?
So following that, obviously working within that establishment, he then went to serve in the World War One.
Oh, right.
He actually served in the army.
Yeah, so he served in World War One, survived, right? And he did a lot of work at that time, because I think they had he brought electricity to the camps where the soldiers were. I think he served in Europe. And
yes, so yeah. I mean, basically in World War II, when the Second World War started, and they needed they needed units to store blood.
Right.
So for transfusions and medicines. So that led to him further research in that, and he provided the provisions to transport blood. Right.
So of course, I mean, blood has to be transported at a certain temperature. So with what he invented, he was an amazing guy, because also he invented so many things. He came across doctors, because at the time there's a lot of snow, so he used the skis he put a plane engine to skis and was able to maneuver doctors to their patients. And it was through that, here was an amazing invention he did. Through that, he heard the doctors complaining about people not showing up for their x-rays, and so he created an x-ray machine. I mean, he's got several inventions. This was one of them. He created an x-ray machine that the doctors could actually carry to their patients. And what I found was amazing about that was, do you remember the movie Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith?
Will Smith.
Yeah. Do you remember he used to be running with that white case? He's like, hey!
Yeah.
He was always running, right? Well, that white case was one of those things, isn't it? It provided the dentist to x-ray their client. So here it was. this man, he had actually created that because obviously he was involved with doctors at that time. So he served in World War One. He served also in World War II. World War One, he was a sergeant. World War II, he produced a machine that would help the portability of blood, and that saved lives.
And also fridges for the military kitchens as well.
Fridges also for the military kitchens. Okay, so and then he came up with an invention that literally changed the world. What was that?
Refrigerated trucks.
Well, that's an interesting thing, actually. So these trucks of his literally enabled. How did that change the world? What was the?
So basically, they needed something that would transport perishable goods from A to B.
Right.
So he created the refrigerated truck so that things wouldn't spoil.
And it was quite interesting that at the time people used to be transporting chickens and so on, and he heard, or I don't know, there's controversies about how the story was told, but he had overheard or something got to his ear that the food was spoiling along the way, and being the inventive man that he was, he went on to create this refrigerated truck. And the truck, I'd like to show you a picture of it if I could. The truck, I mean, it was a simple drawing to say the least. I've got it right here, look. It was a simple drawing. I'll have to show you here, look. There it is, refrigerated truck. There's a refrigeration thing on the top there, yeah? And that truck enabled the transportation of frozen or frozen goods, and which is now how we got the likes of Iceland. Also, he painted several bits of equipment in the refrigeration industry, and patented several. And what was sad about that was at the time, this is one of the amazing things. It always affects us, doesn't it? Because we don't know what we're doing. He didn't know how to patent goods. So many things he invented or created, he saw other people making and getting rich off his creation, things that he had invented. And it was eventually that he figured out, hang on a minute, and then he started getting the patent. So he got his eyes painted. So with this truck, he got that patented. And that business, did you find out how much money that accumulated for him?
I know that in 1949, the business was worth $3 million, and that's a lot of money back in those days.
Right, 3 million. And it was huge, 149 million. It was taken over by Thermo King, I think it is. And they're still around now in America. They provide the AC units, residential and otherwise. So it literally became a huge industry, for transporting perishable things from place to place. And it's something that we need now. I mean, you won't even think of it when you drive down the street and see those big trucks. They've got a refrigeration unit on the top of them. So he literally changed the world in that respect. And, here we are, we take for granted many of the things we had. But back in the day, it was a big deal to have food transport. There was a show on TV where they used to use ice blocks. I think I saw it on a movie on Netflix, and they used to use ice blocks, and that's how they used to provide cooling for transporting stuff. But of course, the ice block would melt, and then they were literally done. If there was any issues along the way, that was it. It was the food would go bad. So what he did there was just absolutely phenomenal. So him and that chap Numero, they formed a partnership, and the company was called US Thermo Control Company. It's now known as Thermo King. And Numero was the face of the company. Jones was the machine, the one creating all or the products of the company. And the partnership was pretty good because it was based on the invention of the sound with the movie. They sold that invention, and because they sold that, they had the money to invest in the trucks, and then that moved on and on down the way. So how much recognition did he receive?
So he's got more than 61 patents when he at the point of when he died. He also received a posthumous award for the National Medal of Technology. So he was the first Black inventor to actually receive the award.
Yeah, I mean, quite amazing. So, you know, 61 patents. Also in 1944, he was elected to the American Society of Refrigeration Engineers. How did he die, by the way?
He died of cancer. I believe it was lung cancer.
Yeah, it's really
in 1961.
bad, man. And here we are, how many years on, cancer still getting people? I mean, it's horrible. So he died of lung cancer. He was inducted in 1977 or elected into the Minnesota Inventors Hall of Fame. So a man with a phenomenal history. And it was, you know, he went through difficult times. And in 1991, did you see what happened to him in 1991?
No, I didn't, sorry.
George,
I'm sure you'll enlighten us, Joseph.
Yeah, George W. Bush, the first one. What did he do? He did something. George Bush gave him what you said. It was that. The posthumously gave him, so after his death, he gave
the National Medal of Technology.
Yeah, first awarded to an African American, and that was given to his widow on the lawn of the White House. So that's the story. I don't know if you found out any other information about him, did you?
Well, at least you know every refrigerated truck that goes by was created by a Black man.
Well, there you have it. And therein lies the story of this man. And here's another aspect. I wanted to share this with you. I kept this. Where has it gone? Here it is. If you want to buy a book, you could buy a cheapie, but this one was brand new. And did you notice my Brummy accent there? This was brand new. No, look.
That is not Brummy accent.
I want to buy a book. Can you see that? That's the price of the book. It's £96. If you want to buy a book, that book, I've got an idea. Brand new, lowest price, £96.87 with free postage. Yeah, this guy, I mean, obviously, he done amazing things, and we have to be grateful for his inventions. And Keith thinks lowest price, he says, not bad at all. Keith will buy that. So yeah, there we have it for targeting Black inventors that changed the world. This series we would like to continue. So if anyone would like to participate, you can let me know. And what we'll do is we'll share the information on these people in our history that have literally made a huge mark on our lives in ways that we may not have been familiar. Okay?
Joe, can I make a suggestion?
Who unmuted you?
I'm co-host, Han. I'm co-host. Can I make a suggestion that I think in order for it to be more participative, that we can, if you give us a choice of people that we want to hear about next week. So if you give like 3 people and then we make a decision between us who we'd like to hear, and a range of people, like people in the UK, you know, we've got interesting people who've made a difference in the West Indies, in Africa. I just think just to make it a bit more. So this first one was really good because I've never heard.
Past and present is past and present as well.
Past and present, yeah, just something. And local heroes or things like that.
Okay, I think that's a wonderful idea. In fact, a phenomenal idea. And I was planning on not doing this just for the month of, yes, you heard the word phenomenal again. It's okay. I was planning this not just for the month of October, but I think we should just do it as an ongoing thing because there's so many people, past, present, you know, and everything in between that could and should be identified for what they've done. And very good idea where you're suggesting that. So that's what I said. If anyone wants to participate, let us know. And if anyone does have a thought as to who we should do next, then by all means do let us know. If we don't hear from you, because obviously I've got a list of people, haven't I? Each week we have been promoting several people. Can you see the screen? We have been promoting several people on our Fact Friday. All these people had a life. They all had a history. And it would be good to investigate what that history was and how they came about to what they did. But of course, if anyone has somebody that's more recent that they would like to do, a good thing to do. How would you suggest that people communicate that to us, Plush?
If put it in the chat now.
Put their suggestions in the chat room and I'll monitor that. So okay. I'll keep that and we can take it from there.
Okay, so if anyone does have a suggestion, then
pop it in the chat room. And I'll monitor the chat
box
room.
Here, right? The chat box here.
Yeah, the chat box on here.
And then what we'll do, we'll make a note, and then next week we'll include that person.
Yeah, if anyone's got some specific information that they'd like to be on the panel with Joe, just speak up. That'd be really good to hear different people.
See what the youth have to say. What did you find out about him? Let me hear what you had to say.
Man, he's a pretty interesting guy. I mean, no one at today's time has invented 60 different things. It's pretty remarkable.
Right, 60 different things. What was the thing that he was most known for?
His refrigeration system, because he was able to transport food, groceries in trucks, ships. He put in different things like that. So really revolutionized the grocery industry.
Do you know, nobody's listening to what you're saying. They're listening to your accent.
I'm listening to you, Michael. No, your dad.
Michael, I'm listening to your dad giving you an exam.
No, but hold on a minute. How did you revolutionize the refrigeration industry? I mean, how does that work?
Well, I mean, no one had ever put it on a truck or a ship or anything like that before. So he was the first one to do it.
There you are. We do like to get the young people them perspective, and I want to thank you, Michael, for sharing your research. We have to school the picnic them, you know. We have to school them. Well, Michael's doing very well. He's doing very well.
Thank you for having me.
Keep it up.
Yeah, well done, Michael.
Yeah, keep it up.
Thank you.
We will add this. You are live on Facebook, and we are recording it, so you'll get worldwide acclaim.